Hello, lovelies. Settle in as we begin to connect with a Nidra honoring the phases of the moon. And sometimes when we bring to mind the new moon or the full moon, we only are capturing one aspect of her essence. And yet we are whole. The moon, whether it is in light or shadow, is always whole. So let's begin to connect with different parts of the cycles as she moves through that lunar month. Before we begin, though, get tucked in, get cozy. Put on socks if you need to, grab an extra blanket or pillow. Let your body be fully supported. Adjust in any way that feels delicious. And notice if there's anything else sensory that you need to add or to remove. Sometimes a candle, something to hold. Anything that needs to be helpful in resourcing you to relax in this moment. Even just a little bit of essential oil or incense. And maybe if there's anything in the room that needs to be removed, how about we do that too? Anything that is distracting or calling your attention away. Just take a moment, do what you need to, and then come back to the settling. Honoring your needs, honoring your body and its full expression, sensory and otherwise. We're first going to begin to connect with the breath itself, starting by noticing the natural rhythm of the breath as it ebbs and flows, just as the tides come in to shore and then wane away. Just noticing your breath in this moment. Being curious about the rhythm of the breath, where it moves to in the body, and maybe cultivating an awareness of the parts of the breath. The inhale, the top of the inhale before the exhale. The exhale itself, that space before the inhale. So inhaling, the moment of retention, exhaling, that moment of suspension. Inhaling, retention, exhaling, suspension. And just noticing the four parts of the breath, remembering there is not a right or wrong here. Sometimes suspension and retention, those spaces between, are a lot in our bodies. So try not to make them even, just try to honor what your body needs in this moment. Maybe there isn't a space between, or maybe one part of the breath, the inhale, the retention, the exhale, or the suspension. Maybe one of it needs a little more coaxing, a little more or a little less. Just pay attention. And then we're going to begin to flow through the breath as though it is the moon herself moving through her phases. The inhale as though it is that new beginning, that new moon that may appear dark but then begins to have a crescent. The inhale is that moment of anticipation, that moment of setting intentions, of hope, of new beginnings. That space between, that retention. That's the moment where we take action. We plan, we get ready to step into being. And then the exhale, the full moon. This is when we harvest. This is when we feel our power. This is when we are in our fullness. Those intentions have come to fruition. We give thanks. And then as we begin to let go, that space before the inhale, that suspension, that is that waning third quarter moon. That moment of release. Just before the new inhale is that crescent moon, where we fully surrender. we let go. Sometimes this may feel like an emptiness or a void, but it is just making space. And that release moves into the hope of a new beginning, that dark moon, that new moon. Inhaling, moving through the crescent moon to that retention, the first quarter moon where we take action. The exhale, the full moon, where we harvest and feel our fullness. The space between the third quarter moon where we release and let go, surrendering fully as we move through. Continuing to cycle with your own breath. The new beginning, the action, the harvesting our power, the release. Moving into surrender and new beginnings once more. Flowing with your own natural breath. Remembering there isn't a perfect part, a right or wrong. So often we praise the exhale, that full moon in all of her glory, all of her power, all of her shine. And yet we forget that the release of the waning moon gives us peace, gives us comfort, allows us to make space. And that dark moon, when we think there is no light, is when hope begins. The inhale starting the cycle fresh. So flowing through 5 breaths now at your own pace. Just noticing your own rhythm of hope, of action, of harvest, of surrender, and hope once more. 5 breaths on your own pace. Once you're done, take one more cleansing breath. Maybe don't even noticing the nature of the breath, just allowing it to clear and cleanse. We're going to begin to move through a rotation of consciousness, moving through parts of the body, and we may call in these phases. But allow yourself to release and then grow into fullness, moving through whatever arises in your body. As we notice sensation, as we bring awareness. Remembering there is no right or wrong. The darkness and the light dance together, reflecting off one another. One doesn't exist without the other. So maybe as we move through the body, noticing the spots that are a little lighter, a little brighter. And the spots that are a little darker, maybe heavier. Maybe the spots where sensation is a little harder to find. And noticing any preference or aversion, any desire to hold on to pleasant or to push away unpleasant. And again, allow yourself to flow through, not holding on to anything, continuing to move through the body. Take a nice full breath here, letting go. And bringing your awareness to the top of the head, maybe just above the top of the head at the crown, as though we were now beginning at the full moon herself. That brightness, that hope, that ether, the divinity flowing through us. Moving down to the eyebrows, the eyelashes, and the eyelids. Both temples and ears. The skin beneath the ears. Cheeks, the nostrils, the space between the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose, the upper lip and the lower lip, the upper teeth and the lower teeth, and the roof of the mouth, and the tongue resting in the mouth. Down through the jaw and the tip of the chin, that neck, front and sides, feeling the inside and the outside of the neck as it flows breath through the body. Awareness comes to the spot between the collarbones as though we were in that moment of release and surrender, that third quarter moon. Moving awareness through the shoulders, the elbows and the wrists, backs of the hands and palms of the hands, both thumbs and pointers, middle fingers, ring, and pinkies. Through the knuckles and the bones, up to the forearms, the upper arms, the armpits and the sides of the chest, the lungs in the chest, and moving your awareness to your heart center, to this spot of hope, of love, of new beginnings. Breathing deeply here, feeling into the heart. Maybe as you inhale, you gather up strength, and as you exhale, you release, finding that little rhythm even within the heart space itself. The flow even in the beginning. Then we move our awareness down into the solar plexus, the spot at the top of the diaphragm, the upper abdomen, and feeling that intention setting, feeling that readiness to take action. Moving down through the belly button, the sides of the waist, feeling into your entire torso, the shoulder blades, the spine, the muscles of the back, the breath flowing through the back itself, and moving awareness down to the lower abdomen, the pelvis, the pelvic bowl itself. And this is that moment where we are beginning to refine and hone. We are in that waxing gibbous moon. Momentum is building, and then we come to the root. That base of the pelvic bowl, that perineum, the root chakra, where we are in our strength once more. We are feeling our groundedness and also our connection with expansion. Then we move down through the hips and the thighs, and the hamstrings, and the knees were once more at that quarter moon, the place to let go. Coming down into the calves and the shins, the ankles, in that moment of surrender. And then we hit the bottom of the feet, the outer edge, the inner arches, the soles. And we're making space for that new beginning once more as we feel into the base of the toes, the big toes and second, third, fourth, and fifth. And as we press into the earth energetically, we're moving back through this cycle, perhaps coming all the way back to the top of the head, flowing through, back down to the space between the collarbones, the heart center, the solar plexus, the pelvic bowl, the perineum, the knees, the ankles, and the feet once more. Growing and expanding, releasing and surrendering, knowing not one part is more honorable or desirable than the other. We need each. Just as the seasons flow through the year itself, so too do these phases flow through us. And once more connecting with the breath in the body. Maybe your awareness comes back to the heart, that spot of hope. And in this moment, listen to the heart's longing. What hopes does she have? The heart pumps blood throughout the body. It connects with oxygen. It does so much. What is the heart wanting us to feel in this moment? And sometimes he speaks to us through an image, a word, a phrase, or a sensation. Maybe there's just a sense of knowing, connecting with that heart rhythm. So we breathe in and out. And as we set that intention, maybe flow all the way back down to the feet, where those new beginnings are rising up. You press into the earth as though you could lift off the ground and begin to soar. And our awareness comes back to the top of the head, just above to the crown. In our fullness, feeling spacious as though we were in this sky above the heavens, the indigo and the bright shining stars, both dancing together. And awareness flows back down through that root, feeling our power in this moment, our possibility, harvesting that which has nourished us. And in any way you would like, continuing to flow through the body. Maybe I have pointed out parts of the body that connect with phases, but they don't connect with you. So notice if there is a part of the body where your fullness shines, or a part of the body where there is a gentle spark of a new beginning. Just being curious. Breathing through the body as we do that. And imagining we can look up to the stars, to the moon, how they look down upon us, seeing the craters, the dark spots, even in the light, and how even in the shadow, the darkness, we can still see a tiny reflection. There's still a shape created. Noticing how both light, as shadow, and darkness has a reflection of the shimmer of the light. It holds its own shape. Again, feeling into those parts of the body that are quieter and those parts of the body that are more vibrant. Neither better or worse than the other. So you can, in this moment, connect with your wholeness. Every phase, every part of you, just right as it is. The fallow times aren't less important than the harvest times. The winter than the summer, the fall than the spring. We have preferences, but they each have their beauty and they each serve a purpose. And notice if anything else is arising in you as we have connected with the moon, with the phases of the breath. Emotions or sensations. Sometimes the heavens and the night sky can fill us with a sense of wonder or magic. So be curious if anything is sparkling within you. Take a breath in, feeling that energy, whatever it may be. And then release. Noticing whatever you harvested, whatever you brought to life, or any sparks that are just beginning, all of them are within you. They are all accessible at any time. Beginning to bring the awareness now into the room around you. With the eyes still closed, if that's comfortable, imagining you could feel the space around you. Just as the shadow of the dark side of the moon is present, even with your eyes closed, feeling into your vibrance, into the space you take up. Breathing in and out. Feeling the breath moving through the body and the air against the skin, dancing together. Becoming aware of other physical sensations and textures in this moment. And when you're ready, let the sounds move through you and get ready to open the eyes. Notice the anticipation just before. And as you blink the eyes open, blending the inner world and the outer world, noticing how light welcomes in. Honoring your faces as you move through your day, through your week, through your month, and this season, this year. Whatever phase of life you may be in, honoring every bit of it. When you're ready, begin to move and engage with the world around you. And in your own time, take a deep breath, release, and know that this Nidra is complete. Be well, y'all.